and getting lit like punks. Anytime. Yo, stop sliding my Wake up, it's Monday, time to tune in. Granny's on the mic with a cheeky little grin. Talking about turps, tinctures, and trees. Dropping that knowledge like a breeze through the leaves. She's been rolling joints since 73. Knew the about about weed before the PhDs. Now she's here to share what the doctors missed. Every bud she touches got a healing twist. Granny's got the good stuff, yes she do. CBD, THC, and a cup of tea too. Lighten up your mind and your endo system. She's the queen of green, then unforgettable. It's Medical Monday, pull up a chair. Granny Cannabis is always gonna care. From pain relief to feeling blessed, Granny's ganja wisdom is the best. She's not your average cookie baking type, unless that cookie's got canna butter right. Talking tinctures, topicals, RSO, giving out the facts every patient should know. No shame in the game when you're living in pain. Granny's got your back, sunshine or rain. She's the medicine mama with a heart of gold, and every story she tells, pure green and bold. Granny's got the good stuff.
This production is brought to you by DHBN, WTHC Radio, and Stoner Records.
Hello, hello, hello. It's so good to see you guys, or be seen by, but it's Medical Monday. And we have a fantastic guest. Some of you already know her as our beloved Mary, who helps us out with Code 20. Yes. Mary not only is a fan of the station, she is an engineer. She is a genius, quite literally a genius. And she has lived an incredible life. She has seen marijuana go from, the devil weed, to being accepted as medicine. So let's bring her on up and enjoy time with our Mary, who always has an amazing story.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes.
Good. Wonderful.
Wonderful. Okay, wait, we got to do this real quick.
Oh, even though it's not Goat 20.
We don't care.
There we go. Now I feel better.
Yes, it was time. It was definitely time.
That for those of you just joining us, that day.
Right.
Talking.
Everybody, look at that. Everybody is very happy that they just saw the goats.
Yay.
Yes. So, I guess I could start this where you and I met. I could start this at any point. But really, where I want to start this interview,
okay, is
with when Mary first discovered marijuana. When did Mary first discover marijuana?
Before I get started, I want to say a few things.
Absolutely.
Okay. I've been told I have more caveats than the House of Representatives. Everything I'm going to say is my story, my personal experience, and I'm not an expert, or I'm not a medical professional, I'm not anything like that. So I just want to make sure that if I say something, it's what I experienced, it's what happened to me. The other thing I want to say is that I was listening to a lady give a speech, and she started out with some real wisdom. And I would like to start out this interview that way. She said,
absolutely.
She does a lot of public speaking, and she knows that there are two things people want to know about her, and they spend an awful lot of mental. trying to figure those two things out. So she said, I'm just going to tell you. So I'm just going to tell you. On my next birthday, I will be 64 years old. And this morning I weighed 168 pounds.
See, you're like perfect.
So
How tall are you? How tall are you?
Focus on medical marijuana. And I know there's somebody out there going, wait, I pegged you at 178. Well, camera adds 10 pounds. But, I said, camera, take the day off. I already added 10 pounds.
Well, remember what I always say, the human head is 10 pounds. On average, the human head weighs 10 pounds. So when you weigh yourself, just take 10 pounds right off the top, literally.
Yeah. Okay. So I discovered marijuana before I smoked marijuana. And I discovered it in one of those ads, those anti-drug ads.
Right.
The ones that they had in the 70s after.
This is your brain. This is your brain on drugs.
And the thing, I think their tagline was, why do you think they call it dope? So
I remember those. Yes.
My whole entire life. I was like 12, 13. And this guy gets on there and he's got an EEG of a 14-year-old's brain. And he said, this is the EEG of a normal 14-year-old. And it's going, and it's active. This is the EEG of a 14-year-old who is smoking marijuana. And it's boo. And I'm thinking, this is me, never smoked. How much weed do I have to smoke to get that flat line? That's what I want to know.
Because you wanted your brain to stop going a million miles an hour constantly.
Yeah. And I think in my heart of hearts, I always thought of cannabis as a medicine for me. And we'll get into that part of my story later. But it was just, how it is. You just have so much mental noise. You can't shut it off. That certainly is true for many 14-year-olds. And that's why they smoke. And then that's why they stop when they get to adulthood. But I did.
Also true for genius children.
Okay, well, we'll move on from there. So the first time I smoked, I did not get high because I didn't know what I was doing. And then the first time I got high, I was with my sister, and I was like 14, and she and her boyfriend took me in their car, and we went out, we smoked, and I got high. It was the first time, so I was really, really high. And then she dropped me back home with my parents and left. So I had
boy,
very first time I was high. It was very, very disturbing. So anyway, so that's when
that would be, that would be hard. Did your parents discover though?
Right? No, I was like, no, give me the flat line, please. So anyway,
did your parents discover that you were indeed inebriated, darling?
What's up?
Did your parents discover that you were stoned, or did you were you okay?
They would never have suspected me. And I grew up in one of those houses where my mother said, if I catch you smoking drugs, I'll take you to the police station myself. So that's, it was kind of important to be
circumspect, as it were. Yes.
Oh, that was awful. I'm never doing that again. No, that's not my reaction at all. And like most 14-year-olds, they didn't have the wherewithal, money, resources to be high a lot. So,
Exactly. What 14-year-old does.
Right. So it was just like a party drug for me at that point. And then I stopped when I was about 24. I stopped altogether.
Mm-hmm. For quite a while.
Yeah, I stopped for almost 25 years. I did not.
Which I had a very long time in my life where I as well quit.
It was not.
But that's a whole other story. But it was for a significant time, and it was, I think that my time being away from it helped me appreciate it more as a medicine than as recreation. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's the same experience that you had.
Well, I think marijuana as medicine is relatively new. To me.
Right.
I started smoking.
It's a new old thing.
Right. But I guess in terms of mainstream American life, it's.
Yes, absolutely.
and it still is in some circles. I mean, part of what I wanted to talk about was, as a federal employee, even if it became legal in my state recreationally, I could not smoke. If I dropped dirty urine, if they caught me with it on post, I worked for the Army. I would have been fired on the spot. I would have lost everything, my pension, my good standing, everything. So
Exactly.
the reasons why I did not smoke for a very long time. That, and I was part of, I'm not going to say it because we're not going to bash any religions, but I was part of an schmindependent, schmundamentalist, schmaptist church, and
Yes.
upon recreational cannabis, so I didn't smoke.
And that particular church, if I'm not mistaken, also frowns on any medication for the most part.
The church that I went to said, I left when they said that mental illness was a sign of sin in my life.
Oh my goodness.
Mental illness is a sign that I have chemical imbalance in my brain and I need to fix that somehow. So, yeah.
Yes, yes. And as in like with me with PTSD, I guess I would have been just absolutely full of sin for a very, very long time.
Yeah. Well,
That would have gone in with the trauma was all my fault, sort of.
yeah. Well, what I ended up going to a different church, like leaving that church and going to a different one. And they were a little more progressive, but eventually I just left altogether. So
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all.
and again, let me go back to the caveats. That was just my experience. Some people, it is their jam. They go to church, they like it.
It gives them purpose. They're out in the community. It can be an absolutely beautiful thing. I agree. But here's my perception of all of it. A church, just like any business or public place, it's run by human beings, and human beings are not perfect.
Yeah, and that was the whole chapter of my life that is not going to be explored in this interview, just because.
Oh God, no, absolutely not. No. So
I stopped.
yeah, no, we're just discussing the medication portion of all of that. Now, I know physically, when you were young, you broke your back. This is the part that I really want to get into, is these injuries that you've overcome and the difference that medical marijuana has made instead of pills, as far as at this stage in your life, dealing with the repercussions of all of these things. Am I making sense?
You are making sense. But okay, I broke my back when I was 22, and the reason because I was drunk, and I don't even need to finish that story for most of you. Okay, but I was on a hayride. I got tired of being on the cart that I was on, and I wanted to get on another one, and I jumped off. It ran over me, and I broke my back in 6 places. I was 22. It was a long time ago. I was like 4.
You didn't have to tell the whole story, but thank you.
I do have back issues because of that. That marijuana was the medicine of choice because I didn't take a lot of pills. I had a doctor who said, you are not going to be taking painkillers beyond the first month. And, so I just, used over-the-counter medications, and that seemed to be enough. But at the same time, I was young, and I was in
Right.
So.
And we are definitely more resilient when we are young.
Yeah. I don't.
We definitely are. Hey, look, Lainey's in the house and everything.
Hey, lady.
Everybody says you're unstoppable, and that's a fact.
That?
I said, Pammy says you're unstoppable.
Yeah, I can't see the chat, so.
I can't. So, ha, ha, ha. Everybody loves you. You got to deal with it. I know that's not normal during an interview, but I have a very long-term relationship with Miss Mary here, so I get to do.
Yeah, I started out as the gushing fangirl on Granny C's TikTok Live. So anyway.
You're adorable. Okay, so you've been through all of that, and as an educated woman, and you are very educated, you are a chemical engineer. You have, as you said, you've worked for the Army. You worked. Actually, I would love if you would tell the story of your first teaching assignment in high school.
What?
Your first teaching assignment in high school when they asked you if you knew what you were doing.
Yeah. Well, I was prepared. I was a high school chemistry teacher, and I was blew up as I was doing it. And as I was doing it, the principal was in the doorway, and he said, "Do you know what you're doing?" Yeah. Holes in the ceiling.
And there's Mary going, "Well, yes, I do, actually."
That I knew it was going to be particular. I just wasn't sure what. Because I mean, seriously, when you're a high school teacher or really any teacher, it's got to be, wow, an explosion a day and all that stuff.
Well, that's it. That's how you keep their attention, isn't it, too?
Yeah, I just didn't want to set anybody on fire. That's a little more attention than I needed. So
yeah, the on fire thing would be pretty rough. I concur with that, absolutely.
But I won't say where I worked because it might bite me in the butt, but I used to steal the glassware from the lab to make bongs.
I think that with everything extra that you put into effort in the school and how little you got paid for being an excellent teacher, I think that's fair. I'm a taxpayer, so I'm going to say cool.
So anyway, I only worked there for 3 years, and then I got the gig with the Army. So,
and that kind of changed everything for you, didn't it? You had to go back to more straight medicine than towards.
Yes, that is one of the aspects I wanted to speak of on this medical wear. I used to take a crap ton. If Jamie, you're on here, I don't know if you're on here, but that's her word. It's a technical term, crap ton. But I took a crap ton of psychotropic medication at one point. And over the years, I have weaned myself off of it. And I know that the fact that I started smoking weed again really, really helped me do that. Now, here's the caveats. It took me about a year, and I had to wean myself very slowly, and I was under a doctor's supervision. So don't hear me saying you don't need your psychotropic medications. You could just drop them and smoke weed. No, that is not the thing.
Exactly.
It took a long time before I could say, all right, I'm done with this medication. I took 3 different things, and I now take one, and I take a whole lot less of it than I used to.
That's where I am. Yep. Yeah. Yep. Now, pretty soon we're going to cut to commercial, and then we're going to have a 420 song. That's going to happen in a minute or so. And then when we get back, we're going to discuss, I think everybody needs to hear about the Buick.
Oh, okay. Most people know about the Buick, but I'll tell it again because go ahead. Cut to.
Yep, Hippie's going to get to it right pretty quick here.
Every single day, 22 veterans take their own lives. Yesterday it happened, it'll happen again today and tomorrow, unless we do something. Operation Heal is on a mission to stop the pain, the death, and the heartbreak. Through the only thing that has actually worked for PTSD and chronic pain, cannabis. But far too many of our heroes, healing isn't an option. They're stuck in illegal states, living on a salary of $1,700 a month or less, denied natural medicine by the VA and force-fed pills instead. That's where Operation Heal comes in. Since 2023, they've built a nationwide underground network of cannabis caregivers and connections, getting veterans the plant medicine they need at zero cost when money's tight. Now they're going even bigger. VetStock is coming, a powerful event where veterans will come together to convert a school bus into a home for a fellow vet who sleeps on the streets every night. You can sign up for can of cooking classes, grab some awesome merch, and make a donation that directly saves lives. Go to Operation Heal, HEEL, and click to help our vets, to get involved, and help us bring plant healing to those who fought for us. This is for the people, by the people. No red tape, no politics, just action. Because the government hasn't just abandoned our vets, they've abandoned all of us. Operation Heal. We don't stop until they stop dying. Join the movement. Donate, share, and heal.
I sip my coffee, twisting herb, that's my hobby. Can I kick it? Can I party? Me and my natives, get it started. Touchdown switch, I hit the target. Carving, sewing, painting, drawing. Make this money, split them profits. What I do, I know she wants it. Live my life, they reading comments. Moving silent, stacking comments. Numbers talking, I know they watching. I stay dreaming while I'm conscious. Seal for drip with the otter. Rose gold chain with the copper. Ravens, eagles, cling it hotter. Whales and wolves is wild style. I got a letter that was sent from me. You sent from me, you sent from me. I get high, it always feels good to be. I got a letter that was sent from me. You sent from me, you sent from me. I get high, it always feels good to be. Hit or miss, this my hobby, smoking choke, this that chronic, wish you could be in this party, all my natives getting started, I stay woke, like the prophet, spoken word, let's see who follows, clink at Haida, who could've thought though, like who would've thought though, I'm that native, really rep it, we go big, this ain't Texas, check the rap, she ask who next is, Grizz and native, stay invested, fish and moose, we stay ingested, manifest without a question, changing life around the nations, through our music, through our message, I'm that native, sip my coffee, all the haters, get up off me, life is sweet, just like toffee, can I kick it, can I party, I'ma do me, that's regardless, see the hats and leather boots, see the trees and spruce roots, check our names, we chiefs too. I got a letter that was sent from me, you sent from me, you sent from me. I get high, it always feels good to be. I got a letter that was sent from me. Sent from me, sent from me. I get high, it always feels good to be. All the memories that you sent to me. I get high, remember how good to be.
I love that song.
I am only able to see a select amount of chat. And Marsha, I did see you.
Yay!
I invited a weird selection of people. My adopted mother, I got my childhood friend Carla, my old college roommate Sheila, Marjorie's down in Florida, Rachel and Rob, Frederick, if he showed up. I'm probably forgetting somebody, Jamie.
Here's the great thing is they can go back and look at it later too.
Yeah, that's true. And
Yeah.
I apologize if I forgot somebody. I really do. Shout out to everybody. And of course, the Granny Fannies. You know who you are.
No, that calls for this.
And my dogs are looking at me like, you're not going to put that in our faces again, are you? Okay. So you want to know about the Buick, huh?
I do. I have. Okay, so first you had broken your back, and then after all this, did you marathon before that, or did you decide to take up marathoning
Uh,
after the recovery from breaking your back?
well, I broke my back when I was 22. I didn't start running until I was 29. Um, and the reason I started running was because I was going through a breakup in my marriage and I needed to get out of the house. So that's what I was doing. And I ended up running 14 marathons. Running is, of course, a very optimistic word for what I was doing. I say running, I was finishing them, that's for sure. But
Hey,
feeling so
I wouldn't even try and do a half a marathon. It would take me days.
obsession. Okay. It's not even admirable in any way. But anyway, I was out running, training for my 15th marathon. And I was in a crosswalk and a guy in a Buick ran a stop sign. It was a Buick LeSabre. And he walked. And I was on the pavement arguing with the EMTs. That's who I am.
Yes.
So I'm on the pavement. I've got 2 broken legs. I mean, I'm like going into shock, but I'm going, we're not going to PG hospital. We're just not going there. So,
You're like, I want to go to this hospital.
well, I ended up going to a different hospital.
See, you were advocating for yourself even while.
Well, no, the PG lost power, so they couldn't take me there. So somebody was asking for me, but it wasn't me. In any case, yeah, the doctor told me that if I hadn't been in such great shape, I probably would have lost both my legs. I was not smoking then, obviously, if I'm running marathons, although people
I know, but
try to do both, so I don't know. But it was a hard recovery for a lot of reasons. I mean, I went from marathoning to sitting in a wheelchair. And I was not a happy camper. I was not 64 years old like I am now. I was in my early
right.
40s. So
Exactly. You were still a young, absolutely young, vital woman.
Yeah. And, everyone was wonderful. Everyone. People helped me do things that I cannot think of a single person who snubbed me and said, no, I can't help you. Even like my chain of command, everybody did everything they could. Of course, nobody wanted to do my job. I think I was I was in the hospital for like 3 days and my boss calls me, when can you work from home? Applauded right now. I mean,
and
ordering chemicals for an army laboratory. Do you really think that's a good thing for me to be doing right now?
Hey, but they were legal medications, so they didn't have a problem with it.
No, they did not. Mainly because I had a credit card and just getting that all together that, once a month to put the paperwork in for the army, you can imagine it was pretty intense. So
yes, absolutely.
The recovery from that was obviously physically very painful and obviously physically very challenging. But emotionally, it took its toll because I went from the serotonin, endorphin chill marathoner to not being able to even walk. And I took
And
a lot.
you were a very independent person. So to have to reach out and, okay, I'm just going to be honest, to find the strength inside you, because when you're independent, it's hard to reach out to others for help when you're the one that always helps someone.
Yeah, and there's probably like 10 people that are listening if they're my friends going, yeah.
See, and that's good. But it's the truth. Like it does take a strength inside you to give up that control and ask for help.
Yeah.
And kudos to you for being able to find that.
Yeah. And well, I mean, I couldn't even wipe my own butt. So, at some point you just got to say, all right, this is just the way it is. And
This is true. This is true.
at the time, a lot of those things were just huge issues for me. And I was just not, I took a lot more psychotropic medication. And I went into a really deep depression. Of course, I was not smoking then, but I was definitely seeing a psychiatrist. This story will blow your mind because it's not accepted in the medical, or it wasn't then. This was, when did I get hit by a car? Why can't I?
Well, you were not.
It was just such.
You weren't quite 50, so it was a while back.
Yeah, it was 8 years ago. It was a February, but anyway, where was I going with this? Hang on, let me.
The psychiatrist. You were on the psychotropic drugs, and
I went to her and I said, I remember being able to go out on the street and find something that would make me feel better immediately. Why is this medication you're giving me taking me so long? Because most psychotropic medications don't work like that. You have to build them up in your system. And that's why it takes a long time to get off them, because you can't just.
Right. It has to build up. And then if that one doesn't work, then you have to wean off and then try another one, because you cannot have two at the same time in your system, because then you get all these weird neurotics and you look like you have Tourette's.
That does happen to me if I try to get off stuff. But anyway, so
yes, I know.
And you know what she prescribed me? Adderall. I do not have ADHD. She prescribed me speed to make me feel better, to get me out of my depression.
I cannot think.
Not something she would have prescribed. Of course, at the time, it was not legal, even for medicine. I don't think at the time it was just coming into vogue, I would say, in the mainstream medical community.
Oh yeah, in the 90s, Adderall, 90s and early 2000s, Adderall became a big thing.
Yeah, well, anyway, that's what she prescribed, and I did take that for a while. It was fun. Felt like I was back.
Sure, you lost all weight. You couldn't gain an ounce. You barely ever slept. You were boom, here, there, gone. Mary, where'd she go?
So that happened.
But it didn't help how you were feeling inside.
Well, exactly. I mean, I did a lot of talk therapy. I changed therapists after that, and I did a lot of talk therapy, and I had a lot of anxiety just walking around parking lots and cars. You can imagine just the trauma of worrying about being.
Well, and that's it. And this is, I mean, to me, it's a clear-cut case of, they should have said, well, you got hit by a Buick. Of course you have some PTSD related to cars or crosswalks, or
again,
being where you're walking, where there's a car moving.
Yeah,
that's absolutely, to me, natural.
I was given
but back then that wasn't a diagnosed thing per se.
Yeah. So anyway, I did a lot of talk therapy, got off the psychotropic medications, like I said, but very slowly. And I am the specimen of mental health that you see before you today.
Well, I think you're pretty freaking awesome.
Thank you. I think you're pretty freaking awesome too. So I got a little mute thing going.
Yes. Hey, the one thing that I always respect about you is you're honest. You're not going to sugarcoat everything. You're going to be nice, but you're not going to sugarcoat everything to make everybody feel better. You're honest about how you feel and how you view things. You're concise, you're nice, but you don't sugarcoat things just to make people feel better.
No,
and that's another type of strength that a lot of people don't have. A lot of people, they're either going to be rude or they're going to be a yes person and just.
But even that took some time. I mean, you're looking at me, this is like crusty old 64-year-old woman who's been through it all.
Yes.
No, I wasn't always this forward, shall I say. I knew I was getting better and that I was too old to be embarrassed when I was at work one day and I was in the stall and I was mid-wipe and the male custodian walked into my stall and I was like, dude, announce yourself. And I mean, I was like traumatized, but at the same time, I was pissed. And that's when I knew I wasn't going to be a nice, cute little girl anymore. I was just going to tell like it is. Oh, thank you for letting us know. I'm seeing the surgery notes here.
Yes, thank you, Marquita. Thank you, darling. We've been worrying about him all day, so yay. That's great news.
Somebody in the extended Granny Fanny family. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So
yes.
Asked, so we still have a half an hour almost.
Oh, we're so not done with everything. So you went through a time where you were being criticized for seeking help with the depression.
Yeah, in the church circles, it was not seen as relying on God or whatever euphemism they would say. And so I was also told to get off the medications, not replace them with anything but the church stuff. So it can be a dangerous place if you listen to them and don't discern, what's good for you.
Wow. I don't even know how to feel about that. It's hard to fight that off. It's hard to not feel guilty and sink into a guilt of, these are all my friends. This is my pastor. How do I not obey him?
Well, that and I would have lost my huge support system community if I had just walked away. And so I stayed for a very long time beyond when I should have left.
But you just didn't tell him that you were going through the medication anymore, or what?
Say that again?
Did you just, yeah, I
still took the meds because I knew I needed something,
So they kind of created a situation where you had to hide a part of yourself.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh well, yeah. Yes, absolutely.
That's just not very Christian. That's my opinion. My opinion.
They have their doctrine and they can have it. I'm just not going to be part of that. So true also about the federal government. I had to hide that part of myself because eventually I started smoking while I was still working for them, and I couldn't tell anybody,
Right. You had to hope you didn't have to have
Yeah. In fact, the only person who knew was the person who was providing me my weed. And that was my pseudo daughter, Wendy. She was the one. I mean, she had the connections because, she was in her 20s. Nobody was going to sell to a gray-haired old lady. Hi.
Who worked for the government. Yeah, that doesn't usually work out too good.
So I mean, she was the only one who knew, and I didn't have to worry about her telling anyone because she knew that then the gravy train was over, So. Because I mean, if I lost my job, my pension, it's crazy. And it's still that way. That's the thing I think I need to say is this didn't stop because I retired. It stopped for me. But there are a lot of feds who probably could benefit from medical marijuana who either they're afraid they're going to have to drop urine and it stays in your system a very long time, especially as heavy a smoker as I was. And or they're going to be, they're going to like it, or they're going to have some other evidence other than, a lab test. So you just go without, or you take your chances. I mean, how's that if you're smoking for anxiety? And every time
that's when weed paranoia really creeps in. So it sort of has the opposite. And it is unfair because it is a medicine. You can take a pain pill. The residual effects of a pain pill last for far longer than just a couple of hours.
Yeah, we saw that.
And they let people take pain pills and drive, and they're like, oh, I'm like, that's like telling someone to take 2 shots and drive.
Yeah. Well, I
Or
mean,
Xanax. I was in a vehicle with someone who was, all they took was Xanax. And they're driving us to this place, and all of a sudden I'm freaking out and I'm grabbing their arm and I'm like, what are you doing? They're like, well, I'm in the left turn lane. I'm going to turn left here. And I'm like, there is no left turn lane here. You are literally on the opposite side of the road. That's
oh,
why everybody is freaking out and honking their horns at you.
wow. Yeah.
She goes, wow, maybe they made my Xanax too strong. And I just said, hey, I will drive. I will drive. Just make this left turn, pull into a parking lot. I'm going to drive.
If I eat too many carbs, I shouldn't drive, you know?
It honestly, yes. Lainey talked about Keith taking Adderall and how it had negative effects for him.
Yeah, I maybe a few months. Because I mean, you just know when something is not for you.
Exactly. And unfortunately, and I do have to say this, I do have to absolutely say this. Any doctor that is prescribing an antidepressant for you or a psychotropic medication for you, psychotropic medication for you, without getting you in to see a psychologist or counseling or some sort of talk therapy along with this, it is very bad. Don't trust them. You need the whole combination. If you are taking an antidepressant, if you're taking this medication, you need to have somebody that you're talking to, that is monitoring where you are, because they do have side effects that can be very negative.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly, personally for me, have a problem with just someone who is a doctor, but not a psychiatrist, giving out psychosomatic meds without counseling approval. Like, it's just there's so many things that can happen. There's so many different side effects that doctors themselves, as they are trained on the in general body, they're not specialized. And you really do need to, with these type of medications, you need someone who's specialized in the side effects of these things.
Her heart was in the right place. I think she just really wanted to help me, and I was in desperate. I don't know.
Oh no, I'm not saying that she wasn't. I mean, she was trying to help, yes. And back then Adderall was sort of a catch-all, and it, for some people they prescribed it to keep them up and going, and figuring that would, I can see where she was coming from, yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, she did try to do talk therapy with me, but we just weren't on the same level or whatever. I don't know. I did change to I have the same therapist. I don't see her very often anymore because I don't really need to, but yeah, I did a lot.
That's it.
I mean, to get off of those medicines, I had to do the talk therapy. I had to do the work. It wasn't just, all right, I'm going to wean myself off and everything's going to be hunky dory because I got a J. No, not at all. It was a long and complicated road for me, and I'm glad I did it. I really am.
Yeah, and it is complicated, and it is a long road, and we all deserve to kind of be able to do this.
Yeah, and I think like her medical training in marijuana consisted of watching Reefer Madness. I mean, in the 90s, I don't think
I don't know if a lot of everybody in the chat per se will know. If you can find it on YouTube, wherever, watch it so that you'll understand why there was a big scare
Yeah, yeah. That was crazy. Anyway, so yeah, it's much more accepted as a medicine, and I don't know if I would say I don't like the meds I take for my cholesterol. I take it at the same time every day, and but
Right.
that's what it is, I don't I kind of keep what was the term my brother used to use? I titrate like all day long so that I have kind of a chill mood and I don't get upset, and you know
And
it's
that is the incredible thing about medical marijuana. You reach your level and you maintain.
right. I mean, just talking to me now, you can see. Yes, I have smoked. You saw me hit the vape pen just now.
Yeah.
Um, doesn't I'm not like. I mean, I hear so many people, they think that if you're a stoner or you smoke weed that you're just like off in the clouds somewhere, and that's not been my experience
Or
at
you're
all.
just sitting there slobbering on yourself with a slushy eating chips.
Yeah, yeah, and that's not been my experience. I do my best work actually under the influence of a
I
good.
used to do some of my best photo editing for different shoots while imbibing and listening to listening to music. You reach that zone and
Yeah,
you can come into this different sense of focus.
one of
And
the
it's natural.
one of the things that I have been doing after retirement is infusing my own butter and baking edibles, and I do
She's very good at this.
way more than I sell. I'm not making anything off this. This is just fun for me. Okay. I like to bake. I like to infuse butter because it's kind of like engineering, I guess. I don't know. And
The way that you go about, when I learned from you, the video you sent me is very engineering,
well,
and I loved it.
yeah, it's a solid solvent extraction, basically.
Yes.
Anyway, so most of the people that I have as clients that buy my cookies on the regular have arthritis, have insomnia, have anxiety. I personally cannot eat edibles and get any kind of high from it, any kind of lift, just because my liver doesn't process the THC, and so
Right.
it's just I just get fat. I don't get high. And my brother
But
is
do you
this.
get the medicinal benefits from it? Do you get the pain easing? Do you get
I do sleep incredibly well if I
See,
infuse,
I love that.
and it's just they're delicious cookies. And I thought I had done something wrong because I did the infusion and I made a batch of chocolate chip cookies, and I ate one and nothing happened, and I'm like, damn, I did something wrong. So I ate another one and nothing happened, and everybody's like, oh yeah, let me hear. They want to hear and then 30 minutes later I was in the emergency room going, oh. But no, I never got any kind of lift from it.
Oh my goodness.
The only person who was an adult that I knew that could possibly maybe be open to testing out a ganja cookie. It's my friend Marjorie. I don't know if she's in the chat, but so I sent it to her. I sent her like a dozen, and she ate one, and she was high for 12 hours.
Yes.
And
And that's who you want making your butter.
so I always have butter and cookies in my refrigerator freezer, and so if you'd like a sample, I'm happy to send them. Just hit me up, private message.
Bird has to go to bed. Okay, well, good night, Bird.
I should be going to bed. One time I thought I was giving an interview. I woke up and I was. It might have happened about 15 minutes ago.
You're adorable.
You. I can't read that. It's
Yeah.
Frank's something lounge.
Frank's Canna Lounge. Can I get some tips on edibles? I'm pretty sure.
Depends on. I'm a one-trick pony though. Like I know how to infuse butter and make cookies. basically. I have not branched out from there.
Though, there's nothing wrong with that. Not everybody has to do everything. I don't have to be good at everything. I make okay butter. I make really nice RSO and RSO sugar, but butter is not my best thing. I don't know why. It just doesn't seem to be.
It takes 6 hours start to finish. It's not an easy thing. I mean, you have to babysit it. That's all you can't leave the stove for very long.
Right. That might be my problem with my ADD.
Yeah. Well, being in the lab, I've often thought about some of the I can't read the chat that's coming up, Frank. I'm so sorry. It's just way too small, even with my glasses on. But
he says rosin press and hash bags can really step up the game. Also, learning other little tricks like making sugars and salt and alcohol extractions. Oh, I do that definitely, dear.
Yeah.
I definitely do that.
But somewhere with this. Oh, you have to do, the decarb, clean the weed, do the decarb. Decarboxylation means you have to kick off one of the functional groups on the THC molecule. And then it's ingestible and you can get high from ingesting it. Otherwise you can't. So you do the decarb, that takes about an hour. And then you have to do the infusion, which takes about 4 hours. And then you have to do the filtration. I do a double step filtration. So it's not a small matter to infuse butter. But then when the butter's made, you just bake like you normally would. And it smells terrific. It smells.
Yeah.
One of these containers I have.
I make I do vanilla that is infused. And like when you first, but boy, when you taste afterwards, you're like, yeah, that's good vanilla.
Well, vanilla's in just about everything I bake, so
I know.
And some sugar, or not sugar, the vanilla. That would be awesome.
So now the process of weaning yourself, I'm going to go back to this. The process of weaning yourself off all the different medications to where you are today.
And I'm still working. I would like to eventually just be completely free of it. I mean,
yeah, I would too. I would too. But I found it challenging at first. Because there were some of the medications that, how do I say this properly? The way that the doctors presented it was literally, okay, but your marijuana is not going to have this same effect. So you're going to be missing out on A, B, C, D.
Mm-hmm.
And I was genuinely, even knowing what I knew at the time, I was genuinely concerned. Like, am I going to really make myself worse here? And it took quite a long time, longer than it should have, in my opinion, for me to be able to get off of all that extra stuff and realize, wow, it was just such a wrong direction that I was headed in with all the medications. They seem to always have side effects, and then there's another pill for that side effect and another one for that side effect. And
yeah, well, the reason I'm trying to go down again is because I've been getting sick when I take them, and it's pointless to take them if I'm going to throw them back up. So I've been trying to.
I concur. Yeah.
But I just feel like since I've reduced the dosage even a little bit, it's been hella better. So
see, that's good. That's good. And I mean, like, we all should discuss things with our doctor because we're not medical experts. I mean, we all try and balance what's good for our body and what makes us feel great with doctor's orders, because they've gone to school long enough that, they really do.
And I know, like, last week Pammy was talking about, being organic and trying to, and like, that's not my thing. I'm just saying, I don't, I, I sometimes forget to wash my vegetables. Okay. Cause I'm probably ingesting a whole bunch of pesticides. I figure one out of one of us dies. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. You okay?
Yes, you're cracking me up. I'm a big fan of organic. And I do worry about pesticides. I remember what DDT did.
Yep.
And I still worry about the long-reaching effects of what was done by DDT back then. To the land itself. I mean, they disposed of it somewhere, and their disposal techniques were not as good.
I know where it went.
Oh my God, don't tell me I'm going to be paranoid.
I used to do, and I know we're running out of time soon, but I used to like go and like clean out people's labs if they left or if they just wanted me to. I found a gallon can of powdered DDT.
Oh my God.
So yeah, it's out there. It's in the environment.
It is. I mean, how many old farmers or old gardeners or whatever, how many garages out there that are overgrown by God knows whatever thing, and somewhere back in someone's inherited garage is an old can of DDT. I'm sure it's got to be out there.
Oh yeah.
Still.
My mom had a stash of banned pesticides, and we'd be playing around and she'd be putting it on the ground. I mean, this was the 60s, okay?
Right. I understand completely. Hey, jarts. That's all I got to say.
If you're not familiar with jarts, it was a game that was like, you would throw a pointed thing at your opponent and hope to hit like a hoop or something. I don't know. It was
you threw this thing up in the air and it was literally a weighted javelin, a very short weighted javelin, and it would come down straight, and it was quite interesting.
Yes, lots of emergency room visits.
Definitely. This will be healthy. Let them throw weighted sharp projectiles at each other.
I know. After I'm laying on the pavement after the accident, and I'm doing this because I run because it's good for me.
Yeah, exactly. I love your sense of humor.
Yeah, gotta have a sense of humor, or you just go crazy.
You do. But
before we finish, I have to show you. Now, if you're a WTHC listener, you can win one of these t-shirts by guessing the word of the day. And I took myself out of the running for May, so you have a chance now. Yes, I haven't lately. I've been guessing wrong.
I love it. Hippie, why don't you come on up and have the last few minutes with all of us together to tell everybody bye and have a good night.
No thanks.
Oh, come on.
Not in
So
my
see, now you know so much about Mary.
I know. It's amazing, Mary. I'm very impressed with your ability to come back from all that stuff. I have a very similar story as well. My accident was on, actually it's like 14 years this year. And I got a broken leg. I know what it's like to come back from compound fracture of both my tibia and my fibia.
Mm-hmm.
And you were in good shape. I had to do it as a fat bastard, so it was it was even, I'm not trying to say, but it was my own fault. But I mean, it was even harder. And so,
well, the accident was not your fault.
No, the accident wasn't. Being fat was my fault. I like to eat, but pizza. Yeah, I love pizza.
Really, really worried about being in shape and thin, and even my doctor didn't know how much I weighed. And I announced it at the very beginning of the show. So I think I'm doing better psychologically than I was.
Well, everything that you spoke about tonight, it reminds me of myself, because even like I want to get off the meds that I have for my psycho crazy, whatever you call them, psychosomatic.
Psychotropic tropic drugs.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm afraid because I've seen me without them, and some people, I think some people need to be on them.
Oh yeah, and
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I know we're
I get angry very easily, so I fly off the handle very
the nice
quickly.
thing about weaning is that you don't do it all at once, and if you notice that you're starting to go back to
Yeah.
needing,
I could tell you another story about
Really?
one of my first shrinks that I ever got to meet. He within 15 minutes he had me diagnosed, and within 3 months I had 36 pills a day I was taking from him. And so I quit him, told him to go.
Yeah, I would quit that too.
I lost my first job ever. I was never fired from a job. I had gotten fired from a job. I could barely walk. I was like a zombie. And I kept going back, and every time I'd go back, he'd be like, "Yeah, but your numbers aren't at where I need them to be, where I want them to be." And I'm like, "I can barely walk and talk here, fella." And finally, I just quit, and I went home, and I had to wean myself off of so many different Depakote. I was on like 4,000 milligrams of Depakote a day.
I would have been unconscious.
They were like 500 milligram pills or whatever. I don't remember, because this was, probably 20, 25 years ago now. But yeah, it was really bad, and it's hard to come off that kind of stuff. And then, they put me on the one, and I was having such bad reactions to it that I had to get off of it, and that one scared the hell out of me. Two of them were really bad. I don't want to say their names because I don't want to scare anybody who might be on them.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing too that we do, and the doctors need to remember, is everybody's body is different.
Everybody reacts differently to everything, right? And
just because it worked with everybody else doesn't always mean it's going to work for you.
Yeah, which is why I started with so many caveats, because I know my story is not going to be everybody's story,
Right. Everybody's got their own story. Yeah. It was horrible, but I didn't know anything about mental illness at that time. I didn't even know I was crazy until I got married. Then she told me I was crazy. I was like, I didn't even know. And then
that happens sometimes.
Yeah, she doesn't take pills for crazy, but I'm as crazy as fuck. I slipped with the F word. I said, don't worry.
He did. It was his turn.
I did it on purpose, though.
The F word.
Pretty well not dropping that bomb every other.
We did good. Well, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you so much, Mary, for the interview.
Mary, it was a great interview. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. See,
if you ever need relief,
have your DJ now come on, and you're gonna start DJing every day.
See, he wants you to be a DJ.
I'm retired, and I like.
She likes to listen to the radio. She doesn't have to sit there.
I hear you. I like to listen.
She likes requesting.
Yeah,
All right. I'm jumping down. You say your goodbye.
All right, Mary. Thank you again so much. And again, everybody, you're amazing. Take care of yourself. Marijuana is medicine. It's our responsibility to use it as properly as we can and spread the word about safety. And yeah, that's pretty much.
Okay, I hope everybody had a good time. I certainly did. I told Granny I was going to laugh a lot, and I did. So, mission accomplished.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much again for being here, and good night, everybody. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you on the air tomorrow. No, wait, you'll hear me on the air tomorrow.
8 a.m. Hopefully after some caffeine, right? All right, I'll see you. I'm hopping off. Bye.
Bye.
Wake up, it's Monday, time to tune in. Granny's on the mic with a cheeky little grin, talking about tarps, tinctures, and trees, dropping that knowledge like a breeze through the leaves. She's been rolling joints since 7